For a background, I'm an affair child. My dad was married to Marie and had 3 children, male 8, male 6, and female 4. After Marie found out about the affair, she was devastated, but stuck by my dad because she loved him. After she found out I was on the way, it was salt in the wound for Marie. She tried to tell my dad it was either his unborn child, me, or her in their relationship. However, she backed down when my dad made it clear he would choose me. I spent my time with both my parents, but my dad paid for my other 3 siblings to go to school near him and wanted me to attend too. So I mainly lived with him and Marie and my 3 half-siblings. My dad was often away, so Marie sometimes would be taking care of me if it was in school time. I always knew Marie didn't like me, even from a young age. She would do things like tuck her kids into bed and leave me out, or take her kids out while I wasn't there, or buy her kids toys and not me. The 3 would always talk about it, and it always made me feel left out. My siblings also didn't like including me in games and stuff. I believe it was Marie's influence because she'd often tell them I'm not their real sibling, and I think she used to talk bad about my mother to them. Basically, I was the one that shouldn't exist and was treated as such. My dad noticed. It wasn't something him and Marie used to fight about, but my dad always made it up to me. As an example, if they all went out without me for ice cream, he would take me for ice cream. If their mother bought them new toys and not me, he would buy me a new toy. My siblings always took this as favoritism, and it further divided us. When I was 17, my dad divorced Marie. My 3 siblings went no contact with our dad, and I really didn't speak to Marie much. Our dad ended up marrying my mother a few years after divorcing Marie. I reached out to my siblings a few years back. The 2 boys said they weren't interested, but Lauren and I have met for coffee a couple of times, and we get along really well. I've been planning my wedding for a while, and I decided to invite Lauren, and after her positive reaction, I decided as an olive branch to invite Marie and my 2 brothers. I received a nasty message from my brother asking how dare I invite them, knowing our dad and my mother would be there, acting as if they didn't rip their family apart. I told him obviously they wouldn't have to talk to them if they came, but I just thought it would be nice to at least give them an invite. He asked what makes me think my wedding is so important that they want an invite, so I just ignored him. Lauren found out about the argument and basically tried convincing me to uninvite my mother and my father and choose them and the woman who raised me, and that my mother and father are a-holes. I told her she can't be serious and that Marie was a bee to me and literally resented my existence. Things got heated. Lauren called me an a-hole. I told her it takes one to know one and that she can forget about the wedding entirely. Received another nasty paragraph from my brother, and my other brother removed me from Facebook. Am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole for trying to reach out, but I feel there's more to this story. All the parents here are the worst. Why did your bio mom and dad leave it to your stepmother to be the primary caregiver when they knew she resented you? Were they using stepmom as a free babysitter while bio mom and dad carried on their affair, and your dad went on business trips all the time to see your mom? Seems like your dad only left stepmom for your mom when child-rearing tasks were done. It's bizarre you didn't live with your bio mom near your dad so that you could attend the nice school and get regular time with dad. Bio dad and mom are as responsible for your childhood trauma as stepmom. They didn't do the minimum to protect and raise you, and you're really letting them off the hook in all this. My dad paid for his other 3 children to go to British private school. He thought it was only fair I went to the same school. My mom lived 30 minutes away from my father's house, and my school was 20 minutes away from my father's house. There was no school bus, and 50 minutes, over an hour with traffic, is a lot for my mother to drive every day with school. It was easier for me to just stay in my dad's house cause Marie would be dropping the other 3 off anyway. I'm also not sure my dad knew to the extent at that time. He would get mad when she obviously left me out, but the minor but important things he probably didn't realize. They didn't carry on the affair. My dad genuinely had business trips to go on. He didn't see my mother apart from dropping me off sometimes for years. He admitted that he loved my mother. He left Marie because she isn't a nice person, in his words. My parents never caused me any trauma. My mother couldn't move closer because she was quite poor, and Marie wouldn't have wanted my dad to help her out. My mother is a really kind person, and so is my dad. Everyone sucks here. Dad and mom for having an affair in the first place. Dad especially for stringing 2 women along for 17 years. Marie for not having spine enough to get a divorce, yet taking it out on you and causing your siblings to hate you. Lauren for trying to split you from your mom and dad. You for not realizing that a wedding is no place to try to get 2 factions of a dysfunctional family back together. Brothers are at least sticking with their mom and being consistent, so they're not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. However, I think you're a very naive person. Is Marie a big a-hole in here? Of course. She mistreated a child. But is your dad a bigger a-hole? Absolutely. He left Marie because she isn't a nice person, but it took him 20+ years to realize that? Please. I don't know how you would ever think that invitation would be an olive branch instead of a huge slap in the face. I, 28 female, am getting married in November, and since the minute I've been engaged, everyone has tried to dictate my decisions. I know everyone has an opinion, so I've politely taken the suggestions and implemented what I can to make everyone as happy as I can. My dad is on his third divorce and has recently, like 2 weeks ago, met a woman. He's only seen her twice and called me last night to tell me he's bringing her to the wedding. End of story. I've already sent my final numbers and table plans to the venue, and I asked him where I could seat her so last minute. He said he's paying for it, so he can bring who he wants. None of my family have met this woman, so I thought it would be unfair for her to be alone at the wedding, so I called him to discuss. My dad has paid one installment to my wedding venue of about £4,000 and consistently hangs this over my head. And whilst I'm grateful, he uses it to blackmail me at every opportunity to get what he wants. During the call, he said it wasn't my day, and he's paid for it, so he's entitled to do as he pleases, and stated my wedding day isn't all about me, which is true to some degree, I guess. I asked him not to raise his voice as I was previously in an aggressive relationship, which he knows about, and yelling makes me nervous. He began to scream profanities at me and told me all of my friends that I have invited are nobodies, so this stranger of a woman should be no different. He told me I meant nothing to him, so I lost my crap and told him not to bother paying any more money and not to come. I've spoken to my sisters, 16 and 15. We share the same dad, different mothers, who have both agreed they are also blackmailed with money, such as he has threatened to cancel a family vacation with them because they called their mother whilst at his home. My grandparents say I'm being unreasonable kicking him out of the wedding. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Seems like he disinvited himself. But since he is so disagreeable, what measures are in place to stop him from just showing up and creating a scene? The only a-hole here is your dad. Paying for the wedding is a gift, and as a gift, you don't get to dictate how said gift is used. I tell your dad that if he wants to come, you'd love for him to be there. But since he did not RSVP with a guest, that there's no room for an additional person this late into the game. In the future, you and your sisters would be very smart to turn down any offers of money, since your dad has a hidden agenda with it. First thought was you were being a bit mean if your dad wanted to bring a +1, but I see now it's much more serious than this. Not the a-hole. Your dad evidently uses financial incentive to control and manipulate people, in which case he's not paying for your wedding, he's buying control over you, and that's crappy. Basically, sounds like you've dodged a bullet long-term with his manipulative and aggressive treatment, and I'm just sorry it might have lost you your wedding. Hopefully it'll be better without the blackmail. I'm getting married in December. A few weeks ago, my sister, Anna, came to me and asked me to uninvite my friend, let's call him Luke, and his wife, Julia. Anna and Luke used to date when they were in college. They dated for 4 years until Anna ended the relationship because she fell in love with her work colleague, Adam. Their relationship didn't last long, and they split 6 months later. My sister realized that she still loves Luke, who, by that time, was already seeing Julia. Anna tried to get back with him, but Luke already moved on. Plus, he discovered that Anna was already flirting with Adam, even when they were still together. That was 3 years ago, and I thought my sister had already moved on. She had a few relationships, but nothing was serious. I told Anna I can't uninvite Luke and Julia because they're dear to me, and most importantly, Julia is a relative of my future husband. They're cousins. Anna broke down and told me Luke is the love of her life. She told me how everything in her life right now is not working. She lost her job early this year and moved back to state to live with our parents. She literally begged me to consider her feelings because it will break her heart to see Luke happy with his wife. I told her that she needs to get over it, and if it's too painful for her, then she still has plenty of time to get therapy so she can finally move on. I said my wedding day is meant to be about me and my future husband, and I am not uninviting anyone on my guest list. Anna stormed off and has not spoken to me since. Well, yesterday my mom called and said I need to listen to my sister, and she's depressed and in a very vulnerable state right now. I didn't know that my sister is depressed, so I told Mom I'm sorry and I can recommend a good psychiatrist to help Anna. Mom said she's already in medication, and as family, I need to be a good support system for my sister. She said if I don't change my mind, then I should not expect my sister to be there on my wedding day. I'm so confused right now. I want my sister to be there, and I want to help her with her mental illness, but I also want Luke and Julia to be at my wedding. I mean, there is still plenty of time, and maybe come December, Anna's mental health might have improved. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Helping someone when they're vulnerable doesn't mean caving to their, in this case, unreasonable demands. You can love and support your sister without uninviting Luke. And Julia is the groom's cousin. OP uninviting the groom's cousin and their husband, aka Julia and Luke, will cause backlash from the groom's family, especially when Anna is at fault for having what can be considered an emotional affair and breaking up with Luke, expecting him to take her back when she decided she made a mistake. Not the a-hole. Anna dumped Luke for another man. When Anna regretted it, Luke refused to have her back, so Anna wants Luke uninvited from your wedding. You are not the a-hole. Anna played a stupid game and won a stupid prize. Don't let her blackmail you. Besides, given that Luke is married to your fiance's cousin, they are probably his guests as much as yours. Also, if Anna doesn't get over this, I don't know what is underlying it, and neither do you, but it's amazing how often people forget that they have promised to never speak to you again when you don't chase after them. Be prepared for the possibility of Anna demanding that Luke and Julie are barred from every family function you and your husband host for the rest of your lives. And don't give in then either. My sister and family are planning her baby shower next week, and once my fiance asked how she could help the preparation, my sister told her that sadly, she was not going to be invited. My fiance was crushed with that reply and requested an explanation, as did I, since it was very sudden. My sister and mom's explanation was that my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, doesn't feel comfortable with my fiance there because she feels insecure around her. My sister-in-law has body image issues and feels uncomfortable around women who are skinnier than her. I said I understand sister-in-law is struggling, but it's unreasonable to exclude my fiance from family gatherings for that reason. My sister and mom apologized for how things turned out until I said that if my fiance is excluded, I won't attend either. They got surprised I said that and demanded that I attend as I'm the brother of the future mom. My fiance called my sister-in-law trying to have a civilized talk about it and tried to be sympathetic to sister-in-law's struggles, trying to explain to her that she shouldn't compare herself to others and stuff like that. My sister-in-law then replied that my fiance has it easy, so she shouldn't complain for the one time she's excluded from something because sister-in-law has been excluded from society her whole life because she's overweight. For the record, my sister-in-law is almost as skinny as my fiance. She's not overweight. They just have different body types and shapes, but she's nowhere near overweight. But even if she was, that would not justify my fiance being excluded for her appearance. Long story short, my whole family have turned against me now and say I'm the a-hole for not attending one event without my fiance. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I had a heated talk with my family, my sister, mother, my brother, and sister-in-law, and I explained to them that since they want to do that, they shouldn't expect any invite to the wedding. They got mad and called me unreasonable, told me to come to my senses and think of our family and how dare I dismiss my family like that. Stood my ground and told them my fiance is my family and we are a package deal in such events. My brother and sister-in-law didn't back down, but my mom and sister apologized and reflected on how unfair that situation would be. Not the a-hole. That is ridiculous. As for your reaction, OP, you did great. You and your fiance are a package deal, and your family needs to understand that. Not the a-hole, and your sister-in-law needs help. She can't spend her life excluding people who are slimmer than her. Your family are happy to exclude your fiance over this? They should be welcoming her to your family. Why does sister-in-law come first here? Not the a-hole. Your sister-in-law is being a jerk, and if you let them get away with it, they'll do it again and again, excluding your fiance from other things. Stick to your guns. This is an important principle. Someone who is so special to you is being excluded, and you should consider yourself not welcome where your fiance is not welcome.